Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Look, so, you're flipping through news articles just for randomness, right? And you come up with something as stupid as this, and I'm not making this up, okay? I'm not making this up. So let's look at this article. I'm fumbling through some of these news articles and I fall upon this. This is absolutely nuts. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just absolutely nuts. So it says, let me check. Cake in the office is as harmful as secondhand smoke, UK food official says. Now, look, you can't relate a cake to secondhand smoke. I mean, you can understand if you're eating cake every day, obviously there's an issue, right? I mean, I don't know where to go with that. The sugar, maybe you can make a sense. It's not the aroma. I mean, that might lead people down that destructive path to eat that cake. You know what I mean? So look at this says, oh man, if nobody brought in cakes into the office, I would not eat cakes in the day. It sounds like a comic. What's that? Green eggs and ham guy. God, I think it right off the top of my head. I'll remember it in a second. If you remember who it is, the green eggs and ham, put it in the comments. I appreciate it. Food Standard Agency Susan Jebb, speaking in a personal capacity, said the office cake culture. I mean, yeah, you bring cupcakes in, right? I mean, how often do you do that, man? You might bring them into a certain special time of year, somebody's birthday, maybe 4th of July or Valentine's Day or Christmas or New Year's or whatever the holiday may be. Maybe it's somebody's wedding anniversary. I don't know, as silly as it gets. Maybe somebody got a promotion, right? Yeah, so let's see this. I ain't going to read that one because it jumps me over to the Washington Post. And then the Washington Post says you can't read the rest of the article because I'm going to charge you for nonsense, right? So instead of paying for that article, I'll jump over to somebody who's going to give it to me for free, right? Jebb is now calling all office workers to be more responsible in their very own personal health. You know what? If you look back in the picture of the 60s and the 70s, right, you very rarely see somebody overweight. They didn't need somebody telling them not to eat cake. They didn't need somebody telling them not to drink too much because, beer has hops in it and eventually all the calories build up, or eat too much bread, that type of thing, right? They weren't telling you to do that. They weren't even telling you to quit smoking. They weren't telling you to work in coal mines. They weren't telling you to do anything. Just go out there and feel free. We even drove around in lead automobiles with gasoline in it. Okay, not lead automobiles, but lead gasoline. And eventually, when the 80s rolled around, they said, people are getting lead and they're starting to die. Remember in the old days when we had a commercial and you see this little kid at the windowsill? You remember this? If you do, put it in the comments. You're probably not old enough. But there was a little kid. They would have a commercial back, I don't know, probably the early 80s. And the kid would be eating paint chips off the windowsill, scraping them up. Well, she wasn't actually eating them. You could kind of go there, what she was going to do, scrape it up and pick it up, right? Because paint chips had lead in them, and then lead gets in your system, and the next thing you know, you're definitely ill. She told the Times she wouldn't normally eat cake during the day, but because people do bring them in, I eat them. Ain't nobody forcing you to eat that cake, lady. Nobody is. I mean, look it. If you're going to put a czar, you're going to put a health official, you're going to put somebody that's in charge of the Food and Drug Administration, or, what is that other administration? I don't know. There's a ton of them. I lose track. But wouldn't you want to see somebody up there that's in good health, man? They're up there eating an avocado or an apple or something. They're not eating cake, right? I mean, they're showing videos of them at the gym. They're scaling mountains. They're skiing. They're walking their dog. Whatever the case, they're showing some kind of activity. Most of these people you see are overweight. They're obese. They're not just overweight. They're large. Listen, there's health issues that come with being large. Okay, you can kind of justify being overweight, right? But it's you're offending me, right? But there's health issues that come along when you're overweight. Okay, you can't justify eating cake when you're in this position, right? Jebb implied it's easier for a victim of poor health. So what is she saying? She's in poor health if the conditions were right. With smoking, after a very long time, we have got to a place where we understand the individuals need to make some effort, but that we can make their efforts more successful by having a supportive environment. The supportive environment is yourself. I mean, you could have everybody in the world tell you not to eat that cake, but you got that little dude on your shoulder, or woman, or whoever, says, eat the cake, eat the cake, eat the cake, over and over. When everybody leaves the room, you kind of slide a piece your way, right? You shove it in your mouth or whatever. But people don't, that ain't how this works, okay? You can't take them people home. You know what? You'd probably be all brave and say, I'm not eating that cake. You drive home, man, and stop at the cupcake store or whatever. You get yourself some cake. That's generally how it works. If you don't like cake, maybe you buy a pie or a candy bar, right? But having a supportive environment around you is a way of saying, I'm going to look like, I'm in charge, right? You're telling me I can't eat cake? I'll show you I can eat cake. The professor added that we all like to think we're rational, intelligent, educated people who make informed choices, but the whole time we undervalue the impact of the environment, but we still don't feel like that about food. I don't know what that means. Okay, maybe I'm not reading well. It's getting stuck over all the crap. Let's see what some people on Twitter got to say about it. Oh, let's see this. You might get called fat phobic, right? If you eat too much cake. Let's see what else. Somebody else. There's not liberals, whatever. Companies that care about their employees wouldn't prohibit highly processed foods at work, right? You know what? Having a cake once in a while is not going to kill you. All right. Just like having a beer or some alcohol. You do it on a regular basis, it'll kill you. Look, I look at all this and I say, who really cares? I mean, you got to go home with yourself at night. During the day, your family, you got to look at yourself in the mirror every day. If you eat too much pie and cake, you got to cut back, man. I mean, that's all there is to it. I mean, it's just like, I always remember back in the day when there was microwaves, right? When they first came out with microwaves, they put signs on the door, right? That said, warning, microwave in use. Okay, it was big signs. I imagine that some of these places now they'll have warning, cake in the building, or warning, cake is bad for you. Watch out for the cake, right? I mean, it gets to be just nonsense after a while, right? I mean, whatever. I mean, they're going to ban cakes. Everything, it starts out with a ripple, right? This article, you watch next year, man, there'll be office people, no cakes. They'll have fruit, right? Fruit salads, or they'll have a bowl of fruit or whatever. Maybe they'll have some avocado toast, for everybody to share. Put a candle in it, you know what I mean? Can't put Skittles around it to make it look enticing, right? Because that'll be bad. They'll be banning Skittles. I don't eat them, but some people do, right? They must sell a lot of Skittles, but it'll rise to a point where, I mean, you'll be seeing people demonstrating out in front of cake stores. You'll see a lot of these grocery stores, their cake aisles will be put into like meat section. Well, not even a meat section. They'll probably have like avocado ice cream instead, right? Bring that to work. I don't know, but yeah, man, you got me. This is hilarious. Some of these things I read, man, whether it's the gas stove or, I mean, listen, I'm sure there's effects in gas stove and people with all kinds of situations, but I tell you, man, it ain't mold, right? I mean, it's something in the garden. It's peanuts. Everybody's got an issue to something. They do. I'm not mocking them. I can't I can't eat white bread. I can't. I have a fit with it. So I don't eat white bread. Okay. So I understand people have certain allergic reactions. They have certain things they can't breathe. I know a lot of people like my sister, when she breathes certain chemicals, her voice just cuts off, right? It's just done. So I hope you guys found some amusement, and listen, don't bring cake to work. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next video. Bye now.